So at the beginning of this movie, the title comes on the screen, and all you see is fucking papyrus.
Oh, yeah.
It is the Avatar font.
Did you ever see that SNL skit about papyrus?
Papyrus. The font.
I don't watch SNL. I like comedy.
It's
Don't look at the camera like you did something good. No, it's Ryan Gosling, and he goes insane trying to figure out that the logo for Avatar.
Was this the same episode where they did the Scooby-Doo thing with him?
No, different.
He was on many times, I believe.
I don't know.
Yeah,
But
he was on a lot. But
he
yeah,
goes crazy over papyrus.
it's like this whole conspiracy theory where he's showing it to people, and they're just like, yeah, it's like futuristic, but like yet tribal. And he's like, it's papyrus.
And they're like, okay, I guess it's similar. He's like, no, it's the exact same font. And he used it
Like,
for the movie title.
it's like the guy just typed out Avatar, highlighted it, scrolled down to papyrus, and that's all he did.
So that's all I can think of when I see that font.
Yeah. It's like, where else do you see this font? Tattoo shops, hookah bars, off-brand tees, Shakira merch.
Yes, it's the Shakira font.
Wherever, whatever, we're hunting in Connecticut. Hum-da-da-hum-da-hum-da-da, boo.
Michael doesn't get the joke.
No.
But it's papyrus. Fucking papyrus.
We have paper now.
I'm off tonight, and I'm hunting in Connecticut, and it's starting to feel all right. He's got cancer. I don't know. Just lobbing the ball up. Somebody better fucking spike it.
He's got cancer.
Home the hair. Wherever, whatever. He sleeps in the basement, yeah. The ghosts are coming. All right.
You went from papyrus joke that I don't know to Shakira, who I don't listen to. Can't help you out.
It scares us just thinking about it. When you hear it, you're gonna think we're insane.
Try us, please, from the start.
But we prefer to be known simply as Ed and Lorraine.
Wanna play hide and laugh?
Why do bad things happen to good people? That's the real question, right? Why us?
Who's that?
We didn't ask for this. We didn't deserve it.
Shiva! By the power of God, I condemn you back to hell!
Listen, if you're not cultured, just say that, okay?
Oh, I am
okay.
Very cultured.
Shakira is cultured, okay?
But you know what is culture? Horror films from 2010. When did this come out? 2009.
Yeah.
2009.
The Haunting in Connecticut.
I got my first boner in 2009.
All right. Well, anyway.
Oh, wait. Are we starting?
Yes. So, welcome.
All right. Hi. I just work here, guys.
Did you not hear? Did you not hear my sick transition into leading us into The Haunting in Connecticut, the movie that we watched this week?
It was written on papyrus.
No, I was too busy thinking of 2009, I guess.
Not dating myself. That's junior in high school.
Junior in high school, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I remember seeing this in theaters in high school, so
Mhm.
yeah, that I guess that checks out.
I wasn't even in high school.
Dun dun dun.
Anyway.
Minor.
So we watched a movie.
Yeah, and it's been a while since I've gone back to this. Like, I thought I owned this for some reason, but apparently I didn't.
So we had to rent it. Shame. No, we watched it.
Yeah,
on
no.
Netflix.
Netflix coming in clutch. No, but I remember thinking this movie was a lot more something when I first saw it, but now going back to it, I was like, oh, well, this is kind of like a predictable 2009 kind of spooky jump scare movie.
Yeah, but in 2009 there wasn't the 48 movies made after it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
also true.
Also, I feel like if I watched it when I was 12, I would be scared of it.
You'd have
so,
peed.
yeah.
You'd have peed.
Yeah.
Because I peed and I was almost an adult man.
That whole theater was just filled with piss.
It was disgusting.
But yeah, I mean, this may have been one of those movies where it was scary when it came out. I do feel like this was my first time watching it. I do feel like there were definitely some cringy things, but, you know, we're going to go through it and talk about all of it.
And have
Yeah.
fun.
And
Have
it's going to be
fun.
great, and we're going to like it.
We're all going to have friends. We're all going to talk. It's going to be great.
I will say that generally I did enjoy it.
Yeah,
I
no, it
didn't
tells a
hate
really
this
good
movie.
story.
Are we just not going to introduce the spooky season at all? We're just not going to.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to say welcome to spooky season. Look at the tablecloth. It's
mean-
spooky season now.
It is spooky season.
Yeah,
I'm
wearing,
very happy.
I'm wearing horn. I mean, I am a devil.
I'm very horny.
I was going to say she is a ginger. The soul. Sorry.
I
Oh, I
leaned
didn't even think
into
about
it.
But yes,
leaned
no,
into
I mean,
it.
it is spooky season. It is my favorite time of the year. And we're starting off with this Haunting in Connecticut.
Yeah.
And we did decide this year that we're kind of doing haunted possession movies.
Because we just did stabby movies last year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stabbing.
Yeah, we're switching it up.
This
'Cause
one
what did we
we're
do
putting,
last year?
We stabbed pumpkins.
Yeah, we did. Oh, shit. We were
We
stabbing
literally
pumpkins.
stab things. That's like that was the whole point of me saying this end. Like we literally stab things.
Yeah. Invisible Man.
Oh, yeah. And then
I wasn't there for that episode.
He wasn't.
and then Cobweb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I
Yeah.
liked Cobweb.
but this week,
Cobweb
we're
was different.
Yeah, Cobweb was different.
But spooky season's starting, and we're hunting things in Connecticut.
Spooky season
And
starts now.
We're grave robbing, and building tension in familial relationships, and having terminal illnesses, and
And we're disappointing our families by getting drunk again and then throwing all the
Oh,
light
my
bulbs
word.
in a sink.
I forgot that.
I want to bring that up because I feel like that was so unnecessary. But anyway.
we'll get to that. But before the haunting in Connecticut, we have to get to Connecticut.
Yeah, so where... Okay,
They lived somewhere other than Connecticut.
other than
that
Connecticut.
they didn't really specify. It
No.
was a drive, though.
So
Because you
you're,
can't,
overnight drive.
because you can't haunt things unless you're in Connecticut.
you're going to have to forgive me. This movie almost instantly left my mind once the credits started rolling. How does this start?
It starts with the sick kid and the mom in a car because they're driving back from a doctor's
Right.
appointment.
The drive it's just so long,
She
and
has to
it's
drive all
wearing
night.
on them. Ugh.
Yeah.
Right.
Don't. Wow, you drove all night. Let me do breakfast. Oh, I'm kind of wired from the drive.
Yeah, well, she probably pounded like 5-hour energies. She
2000
probably took 2 of them, so she has
2000
10 hours of energy.
2009. I don't think they existed.
Wait, shit, when did 5...
I
No,
don't
that
know.
had to have been like crappy 2009 era like energy drink.
There was
you
at
sure?
least Red Bull.
Yeah, at least Red Bull was around. I know Monster was
in my
king.
day, we just did cocaine and Camel Lights.
But so they're setting up this whole, cancer plot of the son having cancer. It's a stress on the family. And that's pretty much what they're setting up in the first
Yeah.
half hour of this movie.
And they also introduce you to the rest of the family, but don't worry, everybody. They don't fucking matter. So don't bother learning their names.
The siblings barely matter. Honestly, halfway through the movie, I was like, they have like a younger
there's
daughter.
4
sibling?
other kids in this movie.
None of them make it into the center of the screen until
Long enough
the
that-
boy is in the dumbwaiter and the
Yeah.
girl goes in the cabinet.
Yeah.
When they play hide and seek, that's the only time they're anywhere in the important part of the frame.
Yeah.
They're really just background characters.
Yeah, and like, they get some cheap scares out of the little kids, and like, you kind of start feeling for them because they're like,
Right.
oh, my brother's getting weird now.
Well, yeah, and it was more the brother scaring them than
Yeah.
the house scaring them.
Yeah.
Then they all get scared together.
But so they go to look for a house to stay in Connecticut
Yes.
because the
Oh,
mom
right.
is trying to
How are we
stay
going to afford
closer.
this? I guess we'll just pay a mortgage and rent, and I got to be there for the business. If I don't take this job, my general contracting business is going to go.
Nobody gives a fuck, Dad. Shut up.
Dad,
It's like you can't
sir.
be a contractor in Connecticut.
No, they don't build anything.
They don't build
in Connecticut.
houses in Connecticut, apparently.
It's just like he seems a little bit like angry at the fact that he has 5 children or something. It's like, okay, well, you could have had less kids.
Well,
That
and
was
they,
your choice.
they keep setting up this like
Nip it or bag it, buddy.
yeah, and like everybody keeps taking shots at the dad.
Well,
like he's almost
some-
blaming the kid for having his cancer.
If you look at him, he looks like he used to be an alcoholic.
yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, there's no life behind those eyes.
He's kind of he's mopey.
yeah,
He's white. So,
instantly alcoholic.
yeah.
Hey, sometimes
I think that's how it works, though.
yeah,
and
sometimes
the-
stereotypes fit.
It's the haircut, too. for
Yeah, it's
me.
the
Yeah. The Supercuts $15.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
20 minutes to just stare at myself in the mirror and just remind myself, don't kill him when you get home. Don't kill him. Drink away your feelings.
I still remember. This might have been back in 2009. They opened up like a baseball-themed barber shop in our little
Whoa.
shopping center.
Whoa.
And the whole thing was like, we're cool and hip. There's like cold beers in the fridge, and we have sports on the TV, and then we'll cut your hair. Like,
But
isn't that awesome?
Only specifically 2 types of white people haircuts.
we
Yeah.
can buzz it, and we can high and tight it, and that's about it.
That's it. Why? The guy that owns it was in the military and he likes baseball.
Yeah, basically. But yeah, so yeah, I mean that kind of makes sense now. Like she's going back and forth.
We just watched this last night.
Yeah, I know. Don't worry. I don't remember this. So she's going back and forth. They decide they're going to buy a house in Connecticut, and
I think they're renting.
Rent.
Oh, they only
Yeah,
rented it
because the guy
No
that
wonder
doesn't
why.
remember the movie is explaining the movie.
Yeah,
Okay,
so-
smarty pants.
So she goes and sees this house, and the landlord is there, and he's putting up a for rent sign. And she goes in, checks it out, and then
Oh wait, we're skipping the best line in this movie.
I'll
the
give
best
you.
one?
I'll give you the first month's rent free if I don't have to finish hammering in this sign.
Well, so I guess then because she doesn't rent the house right away, so I guess she didn't get that first month free
No.
because he had to
No.
finish
That
hammering
was-
that sign.
that
They
was
got-
a limited offer.
Well, she makes an executive decision.
Yeah, so he tells her about how this used to be a funeral home, but they don't tell us that until later.
Nope.
Yeah.
So like
Keeping us in
almost-
the dark.
I don't get what this trope is of people not explaining to your family where you have small children, hey, we might be moving into a ghost trap. Like, maybe
Well,
let the little kids know so they don't have to live there.
The stress of the health issues and the financial stress, and let's add more stress to the kids that can already feel the palpable tension in the home.
Yeah, a lot of
you
times
might die.
A lot of times knowing is worse than not knowing. you
Yeah.
know?
Isn't
Ignorance
knowing
is
half the
bliss.
battle?
No, that's not the same.
G.I. Joe.
That's yeah.
Shut up. All right.
Those
it was
were
the 90s.
Those were barely films.
No, yeah. So she initially turns her nose up at the house. She's like, we couldn't really do it. It was almost perfect, but it had something.
And all it had to do was rain.
Yeah, well, so they were coming back from a doctor's appointment, kids writhing in pain, and she's like, "Oh, he's gotta lay down, or else he'll be in."
I
in more
couldn't take him
pain."
another mile.
Yeah,
I do declare.
It's Connecticut.
Oh, sorry.
Connecticut.
they sound
so,
like us.
yeah, so she ends up going back to the house, and the landlord is still there for some reason, and it's now like, I don't know, like 1 o'clock in the morning.
It's dark out.
Yeah, it's raining. They rent the house. He helps them get in. And of course, as soon as they lay down to go to sleep, we already getting our like ghost activity.
Oh yeah, right off the bat.
Immediately.
I think they realized they just like wasted 40 minutes, and they were like, "Ah, crap, we got to start the spooky shit now."
Wait, shit, what is this called? Haunting? Oh, fuck, we got to put a ghost in this.
So I think the son experiences it first because they're sleeping on an air mattress, and he gets up and he goes to the basement
Yes.
because he's being like drawn, or he hears a noise or something.
Yeah.
And he also gives the explanation. It's got its own bathroom, so nobody has to hear me puke, and it's cool down there.
Well, so that happens like in the morning. So Steve, I think, made the point like, why would you choose though to like stay in the basement when you just got like scared?
Yeah, because like there's
Immediately.
a ghost in the TV when he turns it off, and the thing like turns around real quick and like walks away from him.
He doesn't see that.
He doesn't see that, but then he goes downstairs into the basement, and he's like looking at that weird glass door, and the fucking thing like pops out and like scares him, and then it wakes him up. I'm like, why would you want to stay there? Like after
Well,
that, just
you gotta
popped out
you
at
gotta remember, one of the things that they absolutely hammered the crap out of in this movie is if you start seeing things, you have to tell the doctor because
Right.
he's in like an experimental
he's
thing.
in an experimental.
So he's
treatment.
like trying not to believe it himself, thinking it's the medication, and then it
And then it gets crazy.
It wasn't the medication. It was the haunting in Connecticut, actually.
It was the 47 dead bodies hidden in your walls.
It was
So
hundreds and hundreds.
So he decides to sleep in the bedroom, which obviously is an amazing idea, and nothing spooky is definitely gonna happen. So then they also realize that there's a door that's locked, and what's behind the door?
We'll never know. They'll never tell us.
That's one of those things where you just kind of got to go, okay.
Right.
We gotta, I'm opening the friggin' door.
Yeah. Well, but also if you're renting, it's kind of expected that the owners may have an area locked off for storage that you're not allowed in.
Yeah, but
you're
I'm
renting.
a nosy bastard.
You don't
I
own
go
this
through
home.
medicine cabinets, all right?
It's just like if they don't own the home, you think they would just go, oh, maybe I shouldn't open the door.
But
Yeah.
then less haunting in Connecticut.
Well, I think they would still get haunted. They just wouldn't know that there was an operation room back there.
But actually,
Embalming table.
they
tools.
don't even force the door open, though. The spirits let the boy into the room.
Yeah.
Then
Oh, I must have loosened it.
Yeah,
it's me, okay, big, Dad.
strong alcoholic
dad. Okay.
I fucking open doors.
Well, it was also at this point
Kicks it.
where Steve started to be like, well, why are they so angry at the dad? I don't understand. And then they
Well, yeah,
do
they
explain.
don't. Yeah, like they don't really explain it, and like everybody's just taking shots at the dad. Who's like, "Oh yeah, well nobody plans for their kid to have cancer. Oh yeah, well nobody plans to be paying a mortgage and a rent. Oh." It's like,
And then they tell you later, he was also alcoholic,
Yeah.
and he apparently gets very angry when he's alcoholic.
Yeah, because the way she gathered the kids up on the bed, I was like, this looks like it's happened before.
That was not the first time.
Absolute veterans.
I will say though, that was very not that my dad got drunk and like yelled at us, but no, he
Where
like
the fuck are we going with
no,
this?
because
Steve?
like everybody's parents would always like come home and be like, "Why the hell are all the lights on?" And then like they go through and shut off all the lights.
He did have a point. Every single light was on in that goddamn
Every
house.
single light.
Why was every light on?
The guy's
And-
working hard to pay a mortgage and a rent. Let's turn off some fucking lights.
Apparently, electricity is expensive in Connecticut. Because it's pretty fucking affordable where I live. I actually keep all of my lights on.
And if you use LED bulbs, it uses a lot less electricity. Just saying.
Well,
When they first came out, they were pretty expensive light bulbs back in the day when they
well,
first
if
came
they
out.
would just pull out their handy dandy smartphones that come equipped with a flashlight.
Also, they
Eh?
were renting. They should have negotiated the terms of their lease better. Idiots. Idiots.
Your electric isn't included in the cost of
Like,
rent?
Listen, there's a dead kid in my walls. $50 off the rent?
There's bones in the furnace. Free, please. Thank you.
So when they get into this room down in the basement, the whole family then kind of discovers, and the mom comes clean to the dad, that she knew it was a funeral home. And there were some suspicious tools and things down there, and the dad didn't want his children hanging out there. Reasonable.
Bone saws and
like, I wonder-
syringes.
I wonder if you can use these scissors to cut a
and then
human
the kid,
eyelid.
the kid
Oh
with
my
the
God.
kid with the ice cream scooper for
He
the eyeball.
put it up on it, like he made it like do the thing where it like does the little
Yeah, it
slicey
scoops.
motion, and so then he decided, maybe I should put this up to my eyeball and see what happens.
It would have been a better movie if that kid fucking scooped out his eyeball.
God.
That's like the first horrible thing that happens in the house. Is
You just see the ghost be like, it was fucking my job. I was the eyeball guy.
like the kid who's like the kid ghost who's like holding everything down. He's like, dude, what the fuck? I didn't tell you to scoop the kid's
He's
eye.
like, I'm trying to help you, not if you start murdering each other.
So then, yeah, they all realize it was a funeral home.
Yes.
But we all kind of know it was a little more than just a funeral home.
Well, I hate these little like family scenes where like they're sitting at the dinner table and the dad is just like, all right, guys, not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Probably about 200 people died here.
Whatever.
Like years ago. It's not even that bad. Like,
They used to
like
take-
10, 15 years ago.
They would just take all the things that would rot first and take them out so that the coffin wouldn't smell. It's not a big deal, guys.
Like, guys, Don't worry. They were only cutting eyelids. It's totally normal.
We don't know about the eyelids yet, but there's a box of eyelids.
Yeah, like just the way he's underplaying this. I'm like, yeah, you are an asshole.
Yeah, it's like,
But to be fair, people don't die at the funeral home.
No,
they're
they're already
already
dead.
when they get there. So
Yeah.
it can't be haunted, right?
if they'd have watched the movie, they'd have known they were fine.
Yeah, my God.
But
Yeah.
this is where, like, as soon as the first haunting bit happens, they don't really let off the gas. Like, they're not flooring it.
No.
But they don't really let off the gas. Like, as soon as it starts, it just keeps getting worse and worse and
Right.
worse to the point where, actually, it's one of those coincidences where you were like, yeah, that's kind of how you would have to write that in. It's a good thing there was a reverend with cancer. Or else
Convenient.
conveniently sitting next to him while he has a bad dream.
And he also has extensive knowledge on this specific subject.
And the first thing he says is kind of inappropriate. He said, "You were breathing heavy.
Well,
It must have been a good dream." And it's like,
it's like, are you?
I know a few reverends. That wouldn't be my first joke.
It's like, are you popping off in the patient room? What is going on over there?
It's chemo. They
But-
gave me a double.
I will say, I do like this Reverend character. Like, of the stupid priest trope that they throw into every single possession movies.
He's more regular guy.
Yeah, he's just a normal dude.
and he's not.
Yeah, and
he's not
especially
pious and kind of like, ugh. If you weren't sinners, maybe this wouldn't be happening.
Right.
Yeah, he doesn't blame. He's
Yeah.
very he's like a cool reverend.
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
even when like
A reverend with a
he's-
past.
Yeah, and like when he's checking out the house and like the mom comes in and she's like, "Get the fuck out of my house," and he's like, "Yeah, dude, no, I totally understand."
I did like the couple of bows and of course, I'll go right away. He should
Yeah.
have just punched her in the face. Like, I know what's best for your children.
The power of Christ compels you, bitch.
A lot of times they do that where like the sort of priesty character will get almost like defensive.
Yeah,
But he was not.
It's like
yeah.
well-
that's not what Jesus said to do. Be
Right.
mean to women.
yeah. It's like, all right, chill out, buddy. I got a 12 gauge in the closet. I'll take care of these
buckaroo.
ghosts.
You want to add to the bones in the furnace?
Have you seen how sharp this knife is? I could stab a ghost. They'll feel it.
But so the boy and his cousin, his teenage cousin, lady, they're trying to figure out what's happening in the house, and
Yeah.
they find a couple things.
Well, they keep playing hide and seek, and this is why they keep finding more stuff. It's a plot. Hide and seek with children is a plot device now.
Yeah.
So to further it along, and then he even the kid with cancer. I don't. who
Matt.
cares? Matt, whatever, generic.
Basic
how
white name.
generic. White guy named Matt has cancer. How typical.
If I had $1 for every time I heard that.
So he even says, he's like, let's see if we can find some new places.
Right.
And that's where dude goes in the dumb waiter, and he freaks out, and then she gets in the attic,
Yeah,
and
the attic.
somehow the two much bigger, heavier people
Yeah.
don't fall through the floorboards. Bullshit.
I was yelling at the TV because the little girl falls through
She weighs
the floorboards
50 pounds.
in the attic, and so they decide to immediately swarm around her where the floor is
tells-
clearly breaking.
The other less than 80-pound human.
Don't come over
Don't
here."
come over here. It's dangerous. He's like, but I mean, he lost a bunch of weight because he's
then-
dying. But
Whoa,
you know,
I will say 3 seconds later, that other little kid is now kneeling in front of the
Yep.
little girl who just. So they all
Yeah.
just pile on the weakest part of the floor. Nothing
Yeah.
bad happens.
Nope.
I want to know what those bugs were eating
My hopes and dreams.
because
But-
there was no food down there. And there's
Yeah, it was
bugs
just
on the
dirt,
book and I don't know.
Worms.
But this is
Weird.
We get like another kind of like trope thingy where one of our characters is clearly seeing ghosts and is clearly having a hard time, and another character approaches him and is just like, "Hey, listen, I'm not gonna think you're crazy. Tell me what's going on." So the person is like, "Oh yeah, I trust you.
Immediate-
Let me tell you what's going on." And it's, "You're full of shit." And he's like, "Oh, cool. Well,
I gave you a chance.
yeah."
And that was after, so they find like pictures in a book.
Yeah, like
in
a
the
kid
attic.
is puking out like fucking.
And he
Ectoplasm.
has a picture of this other kid from the freaking 1800s.
Yeah.
And
I've
he's like,
seen
I've
this
seen
boy."
this boy before, and she's like,
what
"What are you talking about?"
is your
You're being
cancer
silly.
brain acting up again?
Oh, my
Fuck you.
word. Did they put the radiation in the right place? Which is, it's one of those things. It's like, oh, nobody believes me. Oh, it's just give me a chance. It's like, well, I just did.
But then it turns around real quick because
Yeah.
he's like, "See, I said it," and she's like, "Okay, never
She's
mind.
like,
Okay,
all right,
please tell me."
all right.
Also,
Try again.
And then
What's
she
it-
immediately believes him.
Yeah.
what's in this cigar box here? What's in this tin of cigars here? Ooh, I don't know what it is.
The fact that they keep touching them.
Bro, you can tell what an eyelid looks like.
Like if
alright?
I
Little
opened up a
wrinkly, but-
box and it's just what looks like dried
Eyelids.
skin, I'm gonna be like, I'm not gonna touch that. We're gonna close that.
Steve's
We're gonna
gonna
go
call
burn
me.
something.
And he's like, Meg, I need you to come look at something. And I'm going to pick it up, and now I'm getting haunted in Connecticut.
And he keeps getting like visions too. Like
Yeah.
he saw them like cutting off eyelids and
Yeah.
in like
Oh,
a
yeah.
little flash.
Then he just starts popping them like salt
Because
and
that's
vinegar
where
chips.
Because that's he just. My calorie intake needs to be up because I'm
Frenchie.
depleted.
Free Pringles. Oh, no. And then the priest shows up and he's like, "You weren't eating these, were you?"
Were you
Yeah, I
snacking
love
on-
Pringles. And
He's
he's
like,
like,
no. Once you've ingested them, it's too late.
just the fact that the priest opens this box, closes it, and they're like, "What are those?" He's like, "It's eyelids. All right. What else you got?"
But that, I mean,
Nothing scary here, just eyelids.
it was a box of eyelids. Like, it was legit just a box of eyelids. Yes, they call the Reverend.
El
and,
Reverendo.
and he comes in, and then what I thought was a little bit bullshit was when they held their hands to pray, then the demons could get them. Don't think that's how it works, guys.
Oh, okay. So that happened like 2 or 3 times. So the boy with cancer, Matt, anytime he would hold hands to say a prayer, he would get
Wrapped.
this like flashback to what's his name? Johnny? What was his name?
Oh God,
Gerald.
Jonah.
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 Yes.
I was close.
See,
So-
I remember the names.
This
I
was-
don't remember the plot.
This was Jonah and the dead bodies, not Jonah and the
Jonah
whale.
Yeah.
and the whale.
Jonah and the whale of dead bodies.
So he kept getting these flashbacks, and I almost audibly laughed when the Reverend said, "Why don't we pray about this?" Because I'm like, "Oh my God, it's gonna happen
They're
again."
gonna
Like,
hold hands.
they're
And then
gonna
he
hold
has
hands.
an absolute doozy during the prayer. Shaky.
Yeah, and he keeps like gripping these little kids' hands, and the parents are like, "No, this is cool. Everything's fine." Yeah,
He's
great.
just absolutely.
It's just the cancer treatment.
Yeah, and then
7-year-old
we
girls
gotta
are
have another
fragile.
family meeting. Hey guys, Matt's going a little psycho right now, but it's okay. Not a big deal. I'm gonna go leave the house for an predetermined amount of time, like 6 months.
Right.
Then I'm gonna come back real fucked up. All right, guys, don't worry about it.
So Matt is getting more and more of these visions and things. He's getting connected to Jonah.
Yeah, and he's starting to act like an asshole a
And
little
he really
bit.
is.
They start doing more and more research on the house and what
Yeah.
happened, and like, there's these places where you can go, and it's just a bunch of knowledge. They're called libraries.
Oh, dude, I
wanted to
shit,
shoot.
I shit my pants when she specifically called it's the library scene. And of course she finds every bit of information she could like there's so much information on these seances that used to be held at this house. You would think this is like
Yeah, it's the only haunting that's happened in Connecticut.
it's like fucking
haunting.
crazy.
And this is one of several montages that we get.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, the
2009, baby. Nothing but montages.
the other montage I wanted to bring up is there's a montage of just like the mom and dad like crying over the kid having cancer,
my God.
and they keep cutting back to the mom like in different positions,
the guitar in his office like a sad divorcee.
drinking a bottle of vodka,
Just getting smashed and just wailing on it.
And then he fucking
Oh.
smashes up his room because everybody does that when they're just incredibly emotionally upset.
Yeah.
Need this desk area clear.
and he starts crying. The mom's
It's
bawling
like,
her
look
eyes
how
out.
sad the dad is. He's soloing on a guitar.
Wait.
Look at how sad the mom is. She's cooking dinner.
Wait, the dad's
Crying.
still sad. Wait, the mom's still sad. Let's do it 6 more times.
That went on for like 2.5 minutes.
Oh, look, the mom's in the fetal position now. Isn't that upsetting?
It's like she should be sleeping. Instead, she's wailing. It's like you're laying in bed. Go to sleep.
Oh my God.
that
It was pathetic.
that would make
It was
me
pathetic.
laugh a little bit.
But in 2009, it was like, oh shit, they care about their son.
How else are you supposed to show emotion in a
I don't know.
movie?
God, that dad must be really upset. He broke his $120 Fender guitar.
Oh, I don't think it was even a Fender.
That was like one of them
What's the-
crappy first act ones that
Yeah.
he pulled out
That's
of a
what they
box
were.
for
Yeah,
60
yeah,
bucks.
yeah. He won it in a raffle.
This is just like the one the guy from AC/DC uses, but it was half the price.
That's crazy.
Oh, see, now I know why everyone was making fun of this dad. It was so much fun. We should all start making fun of that dad.
What's sad is like in that era, like dude was a decent actor, played in a bunch of films, and then this one is just like fuck you. We're
No one
gonna
likes
hate
you.
everything you do. You're not gonna contribute anything other than not telling his wife he sold a vintage immaculate pickup truck, which is like, first of all,
I just love, you didn't tell me you sold your truck. I just did. It's like, cool, man.
But-
Be more of an asshole.
if that really was a 50s era pickup
Yeah.
with fully restored with an immaculate paint job,
Should have auctioned that thing.
he's getting way more than this month's rent, this month's mortgage, bills, and next month's rent. You're getting more than in 2009. What would that have cost? Like maybe $3,500 total for like 2 months of like stuff. So it's like, okay, you'd have got like 50 G's for that truck.
Yeah.
And that's if you wanted to sell it today.
Well, he spent the rest of it on vodka.
Oh, and he had to buy another car to replace his truck.
Yeah.
That's
so.
true. But the one he bought was one of those, it was like, I forget
It was
the
a
name
rust
of it.
bucket.
Yeah.
That's what it was.
Big
But-
pile of rust on the side. A grand out the door. He didn't. I bet he didn't even bother getting it inspected.
Yeah, it wasn't
He
even.
pocketed the rest of it.
It was literally
$30 insurance.
I bet you it was one of those situations he just showed up with a wad of like
What ca-
$500
what
in
can I
like
get for
20s,
this?
and he just slammed it on the on the counter. Give me your shittiest car.
I need to drive out of here.
I need to prove a point to my wife.
pretty much.
It's like I'm gonna get back at her by selling my most prized possession because his cancer-riddled son is lifting something out of the back when they move in, and he's worried about the paint on his truck. It's like
Yeah,
your
it's
son
a,
has terminal cancer, and you're worried about the paint on your truck.
It's a classic, like, old thing that dads were always distant from their families. Like, they didn't care about anybody.
Where's
like,
your father? He's working on his truck in your garage.
Yeah, that's like such a husband trope that like the mom's doing everything for the family and the dad's just like, everything sucks. I hate you
Now you have a really nice house if you get a garage. Now most houses don't even have you're street parking that shit.
Oh my god! But yeah, I guess is this when he comes home like drunk and he just starts causing hell?
guys.
Well,
He
there
keeps
was
getting more and more drunk.
Yeah, he just keeps on being an asshole. And it's kind of confusing because, like, the Reverend comes back and does some shit in the house and makes it worse. And then the husband's drunk at one point, scares everybody. But
I mean,
he's,
honestly,
like
he
blackout drunk, but he knows the light bulbs are hot. Like, come on, if you're shit faced, you're just gonna wake up and go, "Why are my fingers burned?"
if he's so worried about wasting money in the electric, why are you breaking these perfectly good bulbs? Now you gotta go buy a whole bunch of bulbs.
No, they're just in the dark now.
Oh, there was one other thing that happens kind of in the middle here where the boy tells his mom that he's seeing things.
Oh yes.
And they both choose to lie to the doctor
Yeah.
because they want him to keep getting the treatment.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you'd think the mom would be concerned about that because
Right.
if it's an issue that the doctor tells you can't be seeing things to be on this treatment, it's going to do more harm than good. Why would she lie about
And
it?
in general, for your whole life, you're all right. Lying's bad. All right, we'll just start with that. Lying's bad.
Don't lie to your
you
doctor.
cheat on your taxes. Lie to your family. Lie to get a better job.
EFD condones all of this. By
Yeah,
the way.
we do. Lie to get ahead.
Cheat on your taxes.
It's fine. But like, don't lie to your doctor. Like,
Yeah.
that's the one person you don't lie to is your doctor, because
Your doctor's not a snitch,
yeah,
first of all.
If-
They're just trying to help
HIPAA.
you.
Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, legally they can't snitch on you.
Like, it has to go to like ridiculous court stuff to get your medical records pulled up in like a public setting. So it's like, just don't lie to your doctor. Everything would have been fine. but he might not have. And it's like, if he died, the movie could have been cooler. Like I don't know. Like I don't.
If he died, then maybe the hauntings would have stopped.
Or continued, and they would have had the second.
And
movie.
now there's one more ghost in the house.
Then it would be hauntings in Connecticut. Ooh.
But yeah, so I thought that was kind of stupid.
Don't lie to your doctor. That's all we're saying.
Speaking of stupid stuff, the second one, this Haunting in Connecticut 2, is called The Ghosts of Georgia. It doesn't even take place in Connecticut.
Right?
Really?
So why call it The Haunting in Connecticut 2?
It's a 17-hour documentary on every ghost in Georgia. If you know anything about Georgia, shitloads of people have died in Georgia. And for really bad reasons, too.
Oh, my God.
It's not. It's actually, that would have been a better movie.
Just about the ghost of Georgia.
But I will say that even though this movie was under 2 hours, at some point it just really felt like it was dragging along. And so they kept going through different iterations of trying to clear the ghosts out of the house. And so I think the first time was our Reverend came in and...
Yeah, and he's walking around with the magnets.
It's an iron cross.
Yeah.
And it keeps the evil away. That's why prison bars were made of iron. Not to keep the evil from getting in, but to contain the evil in the cell.
It's like, all right. That's a stretch.
It's like, all right.
It's like, calm down, buddy.
Not all criminals are evil.
It's like, we just asked you to come check out our house. Don't fucking give me a history lesson.
And the real evil ones are never taken alive. Hello. We shoot those ones.
So he is trying to find the remains of Jonah's body so that he can take it out of the house.
Because he thinks that the boy is trapped in there, and he'll be finally set free if he can get out of the house.
Yeah.
Now, he has a revelation when the demon's in his back seat because demonic Uber's a thing now.
Yeah.
Demonic Uber.
He just like appears in his back seat. This like burnt boy.
He pops out of the seat. I think you should have turned right there. You're going to get a 4-star review now.
This isn't my destination.
You can say goodbye to your tip. Right. Poor cabin manners.
So he and Matt both see this vision at the same time that Jonah was burned.
Yeah, we get Jonah's backstory of he was performing this seance and he was able to manifest this ectoplasm so strong that everybody in the room burned to death. And then he was the only one left alive. And then we get the doctor who like controls him being like, they're all coming after you now. And now all of a sudden
they chase him into a cage.
Yeah.
And then light him on fire.
And then burn him. So I'm like, you feel more bad for the freaking ghost kid than you do for the cancer kid.
Yeah, we wanted cancer kid to die.
Well, like, because at this point of the story, like, he's just becoming an asshole. Like, he's like pushing his like, brothers.
He's standing
like
in the doorway.
He's
it's
being
like
creepy.
Why don't you ask Matt to play? It's like, ew, no.
Yeah,
we don't want to play with you, Matt. You hurt me.
And it's almost confusing because I thought Jonah was supposed to be like a good spirit almost, just trying to help. So why, if Matt...
Make him the bad guy for the first part.
Yeah, like if Matt is being sort of connected with Jonah, why is he being an asshole?
He even says, sometimes I wake up and it's like he was inside of me looking through, and I'm like, first of all...
Well, like, you can't spend the whole movie making this kid the focal point of the haunting, where everything happens when this kid is around. Like then, like Matt wakes up with all the cuts all over his arms and shit, and then like the little kid is getting scared of him in the dumbwaiter and all this shit. So if he's the good one,
and then the secondary character of the Reverend breaks the story to him. No, we didn't set him free. We,
like he was keeping everything else
inside. And you're like, oh shit, thanks, character who's been in the last 20 minutes.
Also, why didn't the Reverend realize that though? Like if he could sense the spirits or whatever, don't you think he would feel a lot of activity besides just this one character?
I think maybe he lied on his resume.
He didn't really know what he was talking about.
What we were condoning earlier, the Reverend did to get that job.
I do want to ask how they went into that house with all those dead bodies in the wall and not smell anything.
Well, they were. It's a it was a mortuary, so they would have been embalmed.
Oh, they're all embalmed. Oh, so they weren't actually.
Also,
because we were saying when they started coming out of the walls, we're like, how fresh are these bodies?
They're in
Because they
perfect
look
condition.
like really.
And they had all that ritual to contain them,
Oh.
to contain the spirit inside them, and he was a professional mortician. So you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Don't give a license to anyone.
Yeah, but that's like the. And then they go a little more into the story, like they built a highway and had to go through the graveyard that he was supposed to be burying the bodies.
Yeah.
And there was
turns out
100 empty coffins.
Yeah.
So there's 100 dead bodies in this house, and it's just like, that's not up to code.
Yeah. So
Like no wonder the lights were fucked. You've got
It's like, Dad, you're a
dead guy.
contractor. Why didn't you get the building inspected?
right, you think you would see that? Are there termites? No, but there's 300 dead bodies in
Yeah,
your walls.
don't worry. There's decomposing flesh, but no wood-eating ants.
They
It's
were
totally
embalmed.
cool.
They were embalmed. It was fine. Nothing rots after it's embalmed and just stuffed in a wall.
Yeah, nothing definitely smells. There was no air fresheners in those walls. Come on.
They're like, oh, it's a little musty. That's the bodies. You'll get used to it after a month or two.
How come every time I walk into the bedroom, I hear farting in the walls? What the fuck?
One of my biggest problems, though, with this whole plot is, like, it almost felt like they kept piling stuff on to, like, try to justify the last thing that they said, and it didn't always all
It was
connect.
like
Yeah.
the writers were doing that exercise of write yourself into a corner and you'll become a better writer by writing yourself out 6 different ways.
Yeah,
Not always. Not always.
What was it?
yeah.
I do remember that one scene. I guess it was when it was right after the dad fucking went on his fucking drunken spree and shit starts happening in the house, and like you see all the little electric bursts in the outlets of where the lights were, and like
What was that?
the fucking acting that they made these actors do. They're all
Yes.
gathered up on the bed, and none of them really look concerned. They're just kind of like.
Yeah, Steve said they must have filmed this without actually telling them what's happening because they were going to put it in
Yeah,
post.
like they had no idea what they were going to do. They were just like, okay, guys, we're going to film you from the chandelier.
Freak out.
Just look.
The producers just like flipping the light switch on and off, and they're like,
It's like, guys,
Act scared.
isn't this scary?
Oh, wow.
And they're all like,
The kids who were not paying attention to the director were just like,
yeah, because you see it from
we're still getting paid, right?
you see it from the older cousin so much more. She's literally just sitting there like looking around, like she almost looks confused of like
Yeah.
what she's supposed to be
That's
doing.
one of those things where, it was one of the last scenes they were filming.
Yeah.
And they're like, guys, we're running out of daylight.
We literally have 4 hours left until the budget is cut. We have to get through this. Go.
We ran out of time.
But so that, and then also the fact that every time they showed some sort of haunted anomaly thing, it was always like different and not really connected. Like sometimes it was doors slamming, sometimes it was electrical,
Well, it's 'cause there
sometimes it
was
was a
hundreds-
ghost.
There was birds flying in the house.
Yeah, what were the
Yeah.
birds?
It's because they painted crows on the wall, so they're like, oh, we could use that.
Yeah.
So it was a little bit of like just throwing everything at you to be like haunted activity with no explanation.
Also,
Yeah.
there's 100 bodies in there, and they each get a shift. So you just see the demons just punching in. I hate Tuesday mornings.
Hey,
Every
Bill.
ti-
Hey, Ted.
Every time they show a different haunted creature, it was always different. Like
Yep.
it wasn't always someone burned. It wasn't always someone with like the cuts that
Yeah.
the mortician gave them all over their body. It was always just different, and
Yeah, there was no consistency.
Yeah.
And like that's fine because it's an earlier I don't want to make excuses for it, but yeah, it's like an earlier movie. I'm sure they were just trying to make something scary and different, but
And
like
it spawned a generation of these types of films.
yeah. Well,
not
I mean
not that this was the first spooky movie or
yeah,
anything.
no, but
They've
like
been
the
doing it since
haunting
the
in
20s.
Connecticut walked so the Conjuring could run, you know? It's one of those like you could see kind of
You
like the
could see
sparks of what
the
haunting
beginning-
movies would become.
The beginning of the shadows moving up the wall, not always down a hallway or not always, but there was something in the TV, something in the window, something in
Right.
the wall, something flies into the window, which I think happens in every
movie.
Yeah.
every haunting movie. A bird hits a window and they go, "This is strange behavior for animals."
but every single jump scare also was just so unbelievably predictable.
Yeah.
You could see it coming a mile away.
That's very true.
Why is he on the left third of the screen? Something from the right part of the screen. Why is she on the bottom? Something from the top.
It's so funny because they're clearly framing it like, oh, he's only taking up a third of the screen, and the rest of the screen is just a blank canvas. I wonder what's going to jump out.
Or completely black.
And then the music cuts out, and he goes, oh, I guess nothing's there. Oh, my God.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where it's like, some of the scares they tried to put in there just to be scary. Like, there wasn't like a loud noise. There wasn't anything. But like, those moments did not hit the way you would want them to.
And thankfully, they got a lot better.
They definitely got a lot better.
As the years went on. Because there's definitely some classic movies that are scarier than this. But they also went about being scary much different. This was the first kind of like, we're going to use CGI. And I mean, there's other ones that do that before 2009.
Yeah.
But this was one where it was like, it's human and it's only humans. Like, it wasn't like the Prince of Demons or something. You know what I mean? Like, because there was a lot of those movies that came to follow too, where it's like, oh, well, this is Beelzebub's third cousin Frank, who and he's
this
for
was
the
Satan's roommate in college.
Right. It's like they interned together in hell for a semester. It's like, oh, okay.
They used to work the night shift together at MUWA-Ha-HA-HA.
But without all the nonsense, like, this is not a great situation for you and your family to be in at all. Like, if you leave out like kind of things looking back that are silly now, but you can kind of see the seeds that were planted for movies to do better later on. The place being a mortuary or a funeral home or whatever is crazy. Then they're like grave robbing to trap souls in the house to amplify a boy's seances.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of crazy.
That is crazy.
It's different.
But
it's
the story
new.
the story outweighs the visual effects. And a lot of times we get the opposite, where the story's absolute dog shit, but you're like, well, they did some cool shit in that movie.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, but it was like Sarah went to the grocery store, and it was the night she shouldn't have gone to the grocery store. It's like, sometimes that's all the plot you get in a horror movie.
And there were some creepy things too. Like, I did find some of the stuff they were doing, like the body mutilation was kind of creepy. And like when they were the mortician was like carving the
like the runic,
doing the rites,
runes, like
the ritual
all over the body, and then that happened to
cutting
Matt
eyelids
later.
out.
No, this mom got me during this, because like, your son is now covered in cuts all over his body, back, front, head, everything. Perfectly, meticulously written out. And the first thing out of her mouth is, why would you do this to yourself?
What did you do to yourself?
What do you think your fucking cancer kid is doing? Do you really think he's drawing on himself with a scalpel?
They don't tell the truth to the doctor until he's like scratched a hole in the wall and stacked 48 chairs in the house.
Well, not
it's like, what the hell?
When they bring him to the doctor, like, the doctor didn't like pull them aside and be like, hey, did you cut your son like a lot?
Yeah.
Like a lot?
Yeah, because that's the first thing.
Yes, they questioned the parents.
Always, because my mom, much later, after I was an adult, my mom was like, yeah, you know how you used to get hurt all the time for being a boy? And I'm like, yeah. It's like, I used to get grilled every time.
Yeah.
And it's like, we lived in the middle of nowhere in Canada, and the doctor was like, are you hurting your son?
Yeah.
She's like, no, he jumped off the porch roof because he's an idiot.
They always ask, man.
Yeah. Even when I cracked my head open, they were like, what did you do to your kid? And they were like, no, he was.
And I got hurt.
A kid.
I got hurt at a friend's house, and they wanted her phone number, and I'm like, my buddy's mom didn't slam my head on the thing. It's like, I was partying all night and had real low blood pressure and fell over.
But so the
Allegedly.
doctor.
Allegedly. Allegedly.
The doctor then tells the parents, at one point it was, oh, he's fine even though he's seeing stuff, let's keep him on the treatment. But then after they bring him in again,
if you see stuff in this special treatment, you will no longer be a candidate for the program. And then, okay, but age is a big factor when it comes with this thing, so we're going to stick it out.
Yeah.
It's like, wait,
he's
what?
still a great candidate.
they said like his cell numbers were actually doing good.
Right.
And then after he starts getting more and more of these like possessions, for some reason he gets like extremely worse very
Yeah,
quickly.
But then
the
is
doctor
completely fine after he almost dies.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and the doctor tells the parents, he's just like, hey, listen, I don't even know what's keeping your son alive right now. And literally
It's
that is...
it's the demons in the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah, and that's cut with him now suddenly in their backyard because he escaped a hospital
Yeah.
by breaking out the window. How the fuck he did that with no anything?
He knew what must
He just
must be done.
It's like that scene from Kill Bill. He's just like punching the window until it opened.
And he found a hatchet in the wild somewhere.
The full-on axe.
Well, he stopped at Home Depot. He got an axe.
Well, there's probably a woodshed somewhere. Well, there
Went
was
to his
stacked.
local blacksmith, got it sharpened.
There was a pile of chopped wood out front of the
Yeah.
house. So all right, he could have found an axe.
Sure.
But that's where, like, if you haven't seen this movie, you're just like, oh,
Yeah,
he's
you
gonna
think
kill
you're
it.
about to get The Shining.
Yeah.
And then no Shining. Let's pull the bodies out of the wall because we need to show the audience the bodies in the wall and then light them on fire.
And like,
Yeah.
and this is where it's just confusing because they never really hint that the kid is like getting possessed or he has any idea of what's going on.
And then
So when
all of a
this
sudden
ending
he knows.
happens,
Yeah.
and he knows that there's a bunch of bodies. He has a meticulously thought out plan where he's like, get everybody out of the fucking house, like throw an attitude, start barricading everything.
Whatever you do, don't let him put out the fire.
I guess that they're trying to imply though that he had a vision before he got admitted to the hospital
mean-
when he had that experience
Or
at the
while
house,
he was in the
or-
hospital or
Right.
something like
But
that.
of like
Yeah.
all the stuff you choose to show us, and I get it, it's a movie. You have to leave some stuff out. But
Right.
something as important as, hey, he knows what's going on. So when he just shows up in their backyard and starts swinging an axe in the house, you're like, well, how the fuck did he know there was
Yeah.
bodies in the wall?
Also, he does go after his cousin and like acts like he's gonna freaking chop her
yeah.
head off, and then
I mean, they
he
did,
pulls back.
That's completely on purpose. So we're like, whoa, 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 whoa. But
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
same time, it's like,
Like it was just it's a cheap way to make you think something's gonna happen, and then when he swings the axe and she's like not even in front of his swing path, but they
Yeah.
make it seem like she
Right.
is,
Yeah.
and then it's just like a cheap.
also, I don't know if I would have listened to him. Like,
While he's
if,
going berserk.
if I look out my front door and Steve's walking towards me with an axe, I'm gonna fuck you up and not be like, oh no, it's for the walls, Michael. But really, because you're walking at me with an axe,
no,
Steve.
Like
I'm not buying it, Steve.
I'm gonna like kick myself for saying this, but I'm like, the kid's body is obviously like this decomposing. You probably could have pushed him before he got into the house, and you would have been just fine.
Well, he
Hey, get out.
had the strength of 100 souls
Of
inside of
100
him.
demons. He became the Incredible Hulk.
He demoned out, and well, he had the strength of that 11-year-old boy.
Yeah. And then, like, you know, he's just taking his merry time, like, dropping, like, formaldehyde and shit all over the house.
But also, I pointed this out because they did not edit this part well. The older cousin tells the little girl, "We're playing hide and seek, go hide," and the girl like runs upstairs.
Yes.
And then he comes in and like pushes her and the little boy out of the house.
Yeah.
So in my mind, I'm going, isn't the little girl upstairs playing
Yeah.
hide and seek right now?
She's
Fine, she's fine.
And then when he lights this fire, you're like, Danielle goes, wait, isn't that little girl still
Like, isn't she in the house? And then they cut and she's just suddenly outside.
Yeah, she's outside chilling.
Bad editing.
She's really fast.
Bad editing. Just saying.
Really, really fast.
Yeah, and then
His little sister can teleport.
yeah,
She
she's
she
got
goes
Michael
on to
Myers
star in a
powers.
different style movie.
Well, she's in the Haunting of Connecticut too, Ghost of Georgia. She's the Ghost of Georgia.
She
Moved to
taught the
Georgia.
ghosts how to get to Georgia by teleporting.
Yeah, it turns out her name is Georgia. So like, you know, it's the
I
ghost.
don't
haunting her.
even think they say.
Yeah,
that.
they don't. Well,
Yeah.
again, she's not
They don't-
important, so
they
they
don't
don't
matter.
fucking name her.
You're gonna be used for hide and seek 3 times.
Yeah, but then so the mom breaks in. Like, there's a big scuffle between the firefighters and the parents because they're like, "Well, we gotta get in. We gotta save our son." And they're like, "Dude, your son is cooking. Like, he's dead by now. He's got cancer and he's in a burning house.
The
He's
firefighters
dead."
don't even care to go in.
They're like, fuck that
Well,
guy.
it's like, I mean, you can't even blame him. At a certain point, you're like, the kid's already dead. Do
Well,
we, do
that
we risk
is-
more people to
It's,
save?
if it's too dangerous for them to enter, they can't enter to save anybody.
Right.
And I mean, they probably heard about the haunting in Connecticut, and they were like,
listen, there's a bunch of
"Ah."
demons and shit in there. I'm not going in there.
It's like
Oh.
should have just asked the firefighters, and
But before we go on, I will say that I think it's hilarious that they lean so far into the dad being a terrible father just to, at the end of the movie, have him come into the hospital and the mom's like, oh, it doesn't matter, you're here now. And then they just move on. Like,
Yeah.
they
Yeah,
they
it's
just
like, oh,
glaze
great.
over
It's a quick
it.
little. I'm sorry. It doesn't fucking matter.
Yeah,
At least you're here to see our son die.
But I'll
move
take
on.
that over like the 2-minute like heartfelt. I've been really struggling with what's been going on. I've been treating
Yeah.
you poorly. Please forgive me. And then they like both cry and hug and have like weird.
Yeah, but we
sex.
needed another
Another
cry
montage.
montage. Look at them forgiving each other.
Look at the middle-aged makeup sex.
And then they need to like go to dinner, have a glass of wine, and laugh.
Like,
and
oh, babe, we haven't had fun like this in
The-
so
the
long. I'm
light-
so happy.
The lighter music, the bouncy music, come on.
And then they come home to like their kids stabbing each other, and they're just like, "What happened?"
They get out and he walks around to her side, they hug, and then just start like slow dancing a bit in the driveway.
Oh, yeah, it's
then
like,
they
"Oh,
walk
honey."
into just the house on fire, demons' bodies falling out of the wall.
Honey, dance with me like that one night out on the terrace.
you remember? You remember in Italy?
Remember when we held each other until the sun came up?
Before
and then
we-
meanwhile, you hear the kids in the background. We're fucking dying.
Remember before we had kids and life was grand and one of them definitely didn't have cancer? Ah, yes, the good old days. When our son wasn't dying and being possessed by dead highway people.
God, remember when we could look at each other not in disgust?
Right? Remember before you became an alcoholic and beat me and the children and had several affairs? Ah,
But so the dad turns around.
yeah.
He tries to save his kid. He tries to run inside.
But
a
the
little
mom,
bit.
the
But he-
mom makes it.
Yeah.
She can push through 7 firefighters, but this dad
My
can't
son.
fight off one.
Let me save my boy.
I don't think the dad wanted to save him because it would have been cheaper not to rent the house too.
Right.
Well, I mean, now he's going to get a shitload of insurance because the house burned down.
Rental.
He was just looking at the finances, okay? It just made sense.
But so she
Logically, this is what we need to happen.
But the
He needs to die.
the mom
2
runs
for
in-
1.
The mom runs into this burning house and grabs the son, and they hide under the one table that is perfectly undamaged,
that he didn't
not
use for
affected by the
firewood,
fire,
yeah.
anything. This table could, like, the ceiling's falling down above them, more dead bodies, and this
Doesn't
table
matter.
is fucking built to last.
Doesn't
And
matter.
the mom is not like gagging on the smoke in the house or anything. She's just kind of crying like,
Well, that's why the daughter can teleport. The mom's a superhero.
Yeah.
But so they sit there for a minute. She's crying. Everyone thinks they're going to die.
Yeah, and they break through the fucking wall of the house.
At the perfect, like, how did they know where they were in the house?
Yeah, I'm like, they're swinging axes into the side of this house that apparently is close enough that could have killed the mom and the son.
It was like super convenient.
Yeah, I like literally. I thought it was a demon like breaking its hand through the wall, like trying to grab the kid one last time and like bring him to hell. But she's just like, no, we're here. It's a firefighter.
The demons had to stay inside the house, Steve.
Oh, but so the other thing that happens right before the whole house gets burned down is Matt has this whole thing where he sees Jonah and he's like, you did good, and then like all the other spirits come around him and like touch
Oh yeah,
him.
he's like being it's like they were, which is another thing that's like.
What
That's
is
a
It's a
religious thing. Like it was like they were laying hands on him, which is like
Yeah.
very much religious and very
Like-
much not what they would have done.
It's pure chemo. These ghosts had pure chemo in them because
Just
that
injected.
cured his cancer. Apparently.
Yeah.
Well, we never really know, but he was immediately fine.
Yeah. And
I-
like, you know, you get that stupid little blurb at the end. It's like, oh, and his cancer was fully cured and
Yes.
he's like perfectly fine. So like the only time that could have happened is when all the ghosts are like,
Well, you
"Yo, bro."
saw when they were giving him the CPR, and he had the, like that when he wakes back
Yeah,
up,
and all the dust flies out.
And I love the very very high contrast white background in the graveyard. He looks over, and you can hear the mom's voice in the background. He's just like looking at the tombstone, and it's like, "Come back to me, my son. Come back to me, my son."
yeah.
And he's just like,
And he goes, "Ugh," and coughs the spirit out, and then
that
he's
was the
fine.
cancer leaving.
There was the cancer leaving too. All the cells were in that
Yep.
ectoplasm.
yeah,
Yep.
just
It's the cure for cancer is just do a bunch of seances.
yeah. Eventually it'll work.
It's just crazy
You
to
heard it
me.
here first. We're patenting.
It's crazy to me how the ghosts and the spirits and the demons made his cancer so much worse just to make it
cure
all go away.
Like
Well,
they were
yeah.
all pissed off at him, and then he burns them all,
Well,
and they're all like, "All right, we'll help you out now."
The other thing is like those spirits didn't want to be trapped.
Yeah.
And they didn't use bad people. They just used regular people that died. So they
Yeah, my Aunt Terry was one of them.
Ooh, jeez.
You watch your mouth.
That's another reason why gentrification is bad. Sometimes you have to dig up highways, dig up graveyards to put a highway in. Bad. But then we wouldn't have any hauntings in Connecticut.
Yeah, well, we wouldn't have movies.
The sacrifices
without
we make
poor
for
city planning.
sacrifices we make for entertainment.
Well, I mean, and that happened in Poltergeist too. They built a house on a graveyard. They moved the headstones, but not the bodies.
Yeah.
Just trying to save money, man.
And
I get it.
But the house still had a basement.
Yeah, well, you know. You win some, you lose some.
Where else am I gonna put my washer and dryer?
Where am I going to put my fucking pool table?
Connecticut, not quite.
Gotta put it in the pool table.
And that was the haunting in
When
Connecticut.
when this movie came, this was one of because there's a couple movies that I remember from like being a teenager where
Yeah.
when I saw this I was like, oh shit, like that was crazy.
Yeah.
So for its time and the age I was, it was a crazy movie. Like the
Yeah.
story or whatever was crazy, and there's a couple like do that. Obviously, like the first time I watched Halloween, I was like, that's dope. And then
That's
this was
my
like the first kind of like haunty, non-poltergeisty style,
Yeah.
because those are very different
Oh,
style
yeah.
movies. And then, I mean, we talked about it earlier, but like The Grudge was one of those ones that I watched around that same time that's just always stuck with me.
Yeah.
So, you know, everybody has a couple of movies that like shapes their interest moving forward into adulthood, and this would have been one of them because I watched all the rest of the movies that came after this. Like,
Yeah.
I enjoyed all the. I mean, we've done some of the Sinisters, the Conjurings. Started to fall off the wagon with The Nun, not gonna lie, but like there's a bunch of this style film that came out where you're like, yeah, these are good movies.
Yeah.
I really liked Insidious.
Yeah, Insidious
That
was
was
great.
always-
Insidious is
That was a
is
good, like,
one.
early.
That was the first of this sort of genre of movie
Where you're like, oh,
that I
shit,
watched.
yeah.
It was like one of the first horror movies I ever watched because I wasn't really big into horror movies when I was younger. So when I was a teenager, you know, I started watching a few, and that was like one of the first horror movies I ever watched. And
And like
That
it-
weren't slashers
Yeah,
for me.
and, like, it's-
yeah.
it's-
and I always preferred possession movies.
Yeah, and it Insidious is just one of those that sticks out because it's different. Like it deals with a whole different style. Like it still falls under like that possession.
Yeah, but-
it's a whole different way of setting up why the ghosts are attacking this person.
But I tell you what, it wasn't. It wasn't no haunting in Connecticut.
Ghosts of
That's
Georgia.
true.
The age definitely showed
Yeah.
on this film
Yeah.
for
Yeah,
just a
sure.
bit.
Oh my god, and the CGI. We didn't talk about the CGI ectoplasm. Ectoplasm.
Ectoplasm.
Ecto cooler.
That looked so ridiculous. I was like,
Yeah.
are they trying to make it look like a liquid or a solid, or
it
is
looked
it an
like,
alien?
You know how they do like in those the love movies where like the slow motion silk blows in the wind.
Yes,
That's
it looks like
it
that.
looked like- It
Yeah.
looked like fabric, or it looked
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like an alien arm
Yeah.
coming out of his
They just
mouth.
ripped it straight out of When Harry Met Sally, and they were
Oh
like,
God.
"Here's the ectoplasm."
Is
Yeah,
this hair gel?
some of those the jump scares did not stick.
Yeah.
So
but-
what did
but
we learn today?
Sometimes movies from our past aren't as fun as we remember.
But it's the feeling they made us feel when they made us
Yeah.
feel them.
Like, I mean, you know, what? I used to be scared of the Jason movies. Now I go back to watch them because I want to watch something funny.
Yeah.
So it's
Now I audibly laugh.
It's like, is this the one where he harpoons the woman to the tree?
Yeah.
hilarious.
Is this the one where he picks up the sleeping bag and fucking slams her?
Right?
Like,
Oh my
yeah,
word.
it's one of those things where, like, you know, the more of these you watch, you become desensitized. You kind of start picking out certain things that you're just like, oh, well, that's not scary anymore. Like, but this was definitely falling
But
under
to
one of those.
start the spooky season,
Yeah, I think this was a great, like, middle of the road. It told a spooky story, wasn't really scary, but it's enough to dip our toes in the.
It's a
horror
popcorn horror movie.
Yep.
Popcorn.
about a haunting in Connecticut. All right, well, we're going to do a seance to cure my cancer, and we may or may not be...
See you next week on Every Film with a Book. Bye.
Bye.
Ectoplasm.
It scares us just thinking about it. When you hear it, you're gonna think we're insane.
Try us. Please, from the start.